Let us talk about your bodily injury for a second. I want to ask you how you were injured, where you were injured, what treatments you are taking, how long they're going to last, if you have end date, um, if you haven't had treatment. Um, I'm going to ask you if you took any time off from work, if you can verify that through the HR department on letterhead. If you're self-employed, I want to ask you to verify any time taken off with tax forms. Whenever we make income, we have to report it to the government. That's just the law. Um, so I will need those tax forms from the previous year. Um, I will ask you, to be specific where you were injured, and I will take a look at the accident photos, if there are any. I'll take a look at the estimates for the vehicles. I will take a look at what's called a mechanism of injury. How were you injured? If you were rear-ended, your head would have gone forward and then gone back. If you were hit on the side, we always go towards the impact and away from it. So there's all kinds of things that I'm looking at for the mechanism of injury. If you tell me you broke your big toe on your right foot, and you were a passenger in the back seat and it was a minor fender bender, that's questionable. I want to take a look to see if our insured is negligent. If so, what percentage? Are you, as a claimant, do you have any negligence? There's something called a broken chain of events. So if you get into an accident, we're pulled over on the side of the road, you get out of your vehicle, and then you trip and fall, and then you roll down a hill. Those injuries caused by tripping, falling, and rolling down the hill are a broken chain of events. So that's something else I would look at. That's something that we wouldn't be look at paying for. We'll take a look at that. We'll ask you about treatment. You can make a bodily injury claim without treatment. It's a free country. You need to determine what is right for your body. You need to determine if you need treatment, where you're going to get treated, to what extent. I want to take a look at the treatment in a little different way. I want to see that the bills have been incurred in your name. They are for you. They are reasonable. That means that the treatment in that area on a regional basis is on average, what other people pay. So they're not outrageous. And I'm going to take a look to see that they're directly related to the claim. I may send you a medical authorization, and this is used because if I think that you have pre-existing conditions, or I believe that the injuries, the length of your treatment was affected by some condition that was before the claim. If I've gone on a database called ISO, that's where insurance companies pull their data about claims, and I have determined that you have had previous bodily injury claims, worker comp claims. I will probably ask for 3 to 5 years previous medical history. I will take a look at where you went for treatment. Did you go to urgent care? What did they do? Did they prescribe you an aspirin and tell you to go home? Or did you go to the emergency room, have MRIs? They determined you needed to stay for a week. So it's a little bit more involved when you go to the hospital, and they have determined that your injuries are significant enough that you have to stay. A big warning, or a big concern in the bodily injury claim world is TBI, traumatic brain injuries. We'll go into that in a different show. There are different departments in insurance for bodily injury claims. Some of them just handle the smaller claims, less complex, and there are units completely dedicated to doing serious injury and fatalities. So we have to look at the mechanism of injury. We also have to look at fault. Did you contribute to the accident? Are you completely negligent for the accident? All these kind of things are going to go into the claim examiner's mind. What state are you in? Does your level of negligence bar you from recovery, from 100% recovery? All these kinds of things we're going to be looking at. Just because you are negligent for an accident doesn't mean that you can't make a bodily injury claim. If we are not at fault for the claim, and we think that we can resolve it for, a couple $1,000s, that would be a business decision. It's called a nuisance claim. We do nuisance claims with attorneys too. In my perspective, it's better to get a release for a claim than to deny it, because once the claim is denied for bodily injury, the only way that you can move forward is to file suit, and then you start incurring expenses. So there's a lot of different things that go into what goes on for a bodily injury claims handler. We will ask you for the Medicare reporting information, Social Security number, date of birth, marital status, gender. We do these because Medicare requires us to report all claims. The reason that they do that is because people that are actively treating on medical care, or Medicare or Medicaid, if they treat for injuries that have been incurred because of the accident, Medicare once gets paid for that. They're very aggressive. If companies don't report that information to them, there's it can be up to $1,000 a day fines. It's very serious. We need that information. We cannot make a payment without it. Also, we need to, if you don't have a Social Security number, if you're in the U.S. undocumented, that does not bar you from recovery. We still owe for damages that our negligence has caused by our insured. We do have a form. You need to sign it that you don't have a Social Security number. This form is not to be used by people that have a Social Security number but just don't want to use it or give it to us. That's not what it's for. So Medicare and Medicaid reporting is very serious, and they will come and they will get their money. So it's just a very serious issue that we have to deal with, and that's why we're asking for that information. So that's going to be the first things that we're going to ask you for. We're going to, sometimes we'll just go ahead and say, hey, listen, you got no treatment, took no time off from work. For what you're saying, you have aches and pains, nothing serious, nothing permanent. Here's $500, sign my release. Or I might say, hey, we're not at fault for this claim. It's $500 is as good as it's going to get. This is for your bodily injury claim. Sign my release. There could be a whole difference. There's a lot of things that we will pay for. We'll try to, I'll always try to resolve a bodily injury claim. If it's a nuisance claim, we're not at fault, but we can get it to go away for a few $1,000s. That's a good business decision. Insurance companies are looking how much they're going to pay to, if it goes to suit. We're looking at defense attorney fees, surveillance, background checks, all that kind of stuff. It gets expensive. So I hope this has helped you. Remember that it's about, for insurance companies, it's about documentation. There are people that spend their entire lives analyzing the bodily injury claims. So it's just, you will have to, if you are injured, and you do seek treatment, that helps us document things. And if you do need to go through ongoing treatment, that's, having those documentations, those medical records and everything, they're going to be looked at a little bit more. So that's what happens when you start talking about bodily injury with an insurance company. I hope this video has been helpful, and I hope that you subscribe so I can keep doing this. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.